Level 1, the basics of illusion, subtle trickery, and mind games. Level 1 is where Genjutsu truly begins, subtle mental manipulation and sensory misdirection that distort reality just enough to throw off your instincts. These illusions don't rely on flashy visuals or dramatic effects. Instead, they exploit tiny gaps in perception, a shadow that moves when nothing's there, a strange sound that triggers primal fear, or a fleeting sense that something's wrong even when everything looks normal. Take Kakashi versus Zabuza. Using his Sharingan, Kakashi cast a simple Genjutsu that shattered Zabuza's focus. He made Zabuza believe Kakashi had completed the Water Dragon Jutsu before he did, as if Kakashi could see the future. That moment of doubt gave Kakashi full control of the fight. Or, when Sasuke first met Sai. Sasuke didn't speak or move, just one cold Sharingan glare, and Sai collapsed. That's the raw power of basic Genjutsu, clean and efficient. These illusions target the brain's automatic systems, reflexes, gut reactions, and subconscious processing. They don't show, they suggest. They thrive on uncertainty and hesitation, becoming more effective when opponents don't know each other's capabilities. That's why they're especially dangerous in first encounters. However, these Genjutsu only work well against opponents of equal or lesser skill. Try them on hardened shinobi who've faced death and survived? Well, not likely. Veterans have nerves of steel and instincts honed to detect deception before it even forms. As level 1 deepens, illusions begin to bleed into the physical world, not altering reality, but reshaping how the senses interpret it. The sly mind affect technique is a perfect example. It tricks the brain into thinking you're walking straight when you're actually looping in circles. Team 7 fell for this once, walking for hours until Naruto spotted a centipede corpse he'd already killed. That was the proof. They'd been circling the same path, wasting time and energy. Then there's the mist servant technique. It pulls fog and shadow into humanoid shapes that stalk like predators. When attacked, they split instead of vanishing. 1 becomes 2, 2 become 4, until you're surrounded. Your chakra drains, your panic rises, and the real enemy watches, waiting for the moment you're too exhausted to defend. Level 1 isn't just the start, it's the blueprint for every higher stage of illusion. It teaches you how to mess with perception itself, how to find that tiny gap between what's happening and what the mind thinks is happening. Every advanced Genjutsu, no matter how crazy or reality bending, comes straight from this core principle.
Now, if you've made it this far, welcome to the amazing world of anime. This is the place for true fans like you, where we celebrate all the magic, action, and emotions anime brings to our lives. You've watched, you've felt the hype, you've been lost in these beautiful fantasy worlds, but, have you hit that subscribe button yet? Right now, almost 90% of you are watching without subscribing. Just imagine, if everyone hits sub, we could build one of the strongest anime communities out there. So, go ahead, click that subscribe button right now so you won't miss any new episodes, deep dive breakdowns, or awesome anime content coming your way. Thank you so much.
Level 2, Personal Lockdown. We've officially crossed the line, no more light tricks or sneaky distractions. At this stage, illusion becomes control. You're not just being fooled, you're being locked inside your own body. When you're caught in a level 2 Genjutsu, you're not lost in some illusionary world wondering what's real. Nah, you know exactly what's happening. You can see it, you can feel it, and that's what makes it 10 times scarier. You're fully aware that you're trapped, and you still can't move an inch. Look at what happened when Kurenai Yuhi went up against Itachi Uchiha. Kurenai was a jonin who specialized in Genjutsu, someone who literally built her entire career mastering these arts. When she used her tree-binding death technique, she wasn't bluffing. That move is a textbook level 2 Genjutsu. It traps the enemy in the vision of giant tree branches wrapping around them, tightening like living chains until they can't move a muscle. Against most shinobi, that's game over. It's perfect for taking captives, setting up kills, or breaking an enemy's will in interrogation. But against someone like Itachi, that's when you realize level 2 has limits, because there's a massive difference between control and dominion. For a split second, it actually looked like Kurenai had him. But here's the thing, Kurenai made one fatal mistake. She tried to cage someone who had already learned how to walk through walls. Itachi didn't fight it. He just flipped her Genjutsu back on her effortlessly. No hand signs, no build-up, no chakra struggle. One blink later, Kurenai was the one trapped inside her own illusion, completely outplayed before she even realized what had happened. And if you want proof of how terrifying level 2 lockdown techniques can be in the right hands, just look at what Itachi did to Orochimaru. We're talking about one of the legendary Sannin, a man feared across entire nations, dropped instantly with nothing but eye contact. Itachi just looked, and in that moment, Orochimaru's entire world broke. In his mind, giant iron stakes tore through his body, pinning him down like an insect on display. The illusion was so perfectly detailed, so painfully real, that even with all his power and experience, Orochimaru couldn't do a damn thing. When Orochimaru finally broke free, it was already way too late. The damage was done. Itachi had already closed in. Itachi didn't need to overpower him physically. He just outplayed him mentally, and that's the scary part. That's the real difference between level 1 and level 2 Genjutsu. Level 1 messes with your head. Level 2 owns you. It's not just a mind game anymore. It's a full-on control technique. The user literally takes over your body by hijacking your brain, and you're straight up locked down. Your body stops listening to you, and every instinct you've got gets overridden by the illusion. Level 3, Emotional Manipulation. This is where illusions stop messing with your senses, or freezing your body, and start turning your own emotions into deadly weapons. Level 3 is about breaking your soul. The user doesn't fight your body anymore. They fight you, your heart, your memories, your fears. See, the difference between level 2 and level 3 is massive. It doesn't care if you can move or not, because by the time it's done, you won't even want to move. Take Kakashi's demonic illusion hell-viewing technique. When he used it on Sakura during the bell test, he didn't just throw some random scary image at her. Kakashi knew exactly what would hit hardest. He showed her the one thing that would destroy her emotionally, Sasuke dying right in front of her eyes. Her worst nightmare, raw and real. Sakura didn't faint because her chakra got scrambled. She fainted because her heart couldn't handle what she saw. Another example, Itachi's ephemeral against Naruto shows what real psychological destruction looks like. Instead of hitting Naruto with some external horror, Itachi made Naruto himself the horror show. Under the illusion, the faces of everyone Naruto loved, his friends, his mentors, the people whose approval he'd die for, started appearing all over his body. They weren't smiling either. They were furious, disappointed, screaming at him for every failure, every mistake, every time he wasn't strong enough. It was like his own guilt came to life and started roasting him alive. Of course, Itachi didn't even have to move. He just watched while Naruto's mind ripped itself apart. You're being mentally executed by your own emotions. That's why level 3 isn't just a genjutsu, it's psychological warfare at its finest. Level 4, creating a perfect illusionary world. Level 3 already messed people up emotionally, turning their own hearts into weapons. But at least back then, there were still ways out. If you had insane willpower, a teammate to shake you awake, or just enough clarity to realize, yo, this ain't real, you might have stood a chance. Level 4 completely deletes your escape options. These techniques rewrite your entire reality from scratch. You're not inside an illusion anymore. You're inside their universe. And no technique shows this better than Itachi Uchiha's Tsukuyomi, the absolute monster of Genjutsu. This thing is so absurdly powerful, it basically deserves its own level. Tsukuyomi doesn't just tweak your senses or make you see scary things, it replaces everything. The sky, the ground, the air, time itself, all of it belongs to Itachi. He becomes the literal god of that world, controlling every single detail with zero effort. This is the point where Genjutsu stops being a ninja art and becomes straight-up divine manipulation. The user doesn't influence your perception, they own it. When Itachi hit Kakashi with Tsukuyomi, it was full-blown hell, handcrafted by a god. Kakashi got yanked straight into a nightmare world where 72 hours of non-stop torture played out with cold, surgical precision. He couldn't move, couldn't fight back, just stood there, totally locked down, while countless Itachis stabbed him again and again like clockwork. But here's the thing, it wasn't fake pain. Kakashi felt every stab, every second, as if it were 100% real. His nerves fired like they were burning for real. His brain processed every hit like actual trauma, and his body believed those 72 hours had really passed. Meanwhile, in the real world, Not even a second had gone by. That's the true horror of Tsukuyomi. Itachi bends time itself. The suffering is slow, methodical, brutally stretched out, so the victim's mind has no choice but to crumble under the pressure. And when Itachi turned that same jutsu on Sasuke, he emotionally nuked him. Sasuke was forced to relive the Uchiha massacre over and over, hundreds of thousands of times. Every sight, every sound, every drop of blood, all perfectly real. It was total re-experience, and you don't escape it by waking up, because for the victim, that illusion was reality. And the aftermath. When Kakashi and Sasuke finally broke out of Tsukuyomi, they were mentally wrecked. Kakashi, the copy ninja himself, was left in a near catatonic state. His mind got overloaded so brutally that his body literally shut down, like a computer fried from too much data. You see, once you're in Tsukuyomi, you're in until Itachi decides you're done. The whole thing has to play out exactly how he wants it. And to repair that kind of psychological damage, you need someone like Tsunade, just to help you piece your shattered mind back together. Level 5. The Erasure of Self. This is where Genjutsu transcends illusion and enters the realm of reality manipulation. If Level 4 was God tier, allowing Tsukuyomi to craft entire worlds and bend time, Level 5 obliterates the final boundary, the self. In Tsukuyomi's nightmare, victims were tortured endlessly, yet retained a sliver of identity. They knew who they were. Level 5 strips even that away. It doesn't merely distort perception, it rewrites the soul. Memories, emotions, personality, all overwritten. You don't fall for an illusion anymore, you become one. Picture waking up with a lifetime of memories and convictions, only to discover they were implanted to make you behave exactly as someone else intended. You're a puppet convinced of your autonomy. Now it's existential erasure. The body survives, but the person is gone. At the apex of this horror stands Shisui Uchiha's Kotowa Matsukami, arguably the most insidious genjutsu in Naruto. It bypasses eye contact, pain, and confrontation. It infiltrates silently, altering your truth without resistance. The implanted command feels innate, like a belief you've always held. You act on it with conviction, unaware of the manipulation. What makes Kotowa Matsukami terrifying isn't just its power, it's its subtlety. Most genjutsu, no matter how advanced, leave behind a faint sense of unease. Victims might be trapped, but some part of them senses the falsehood. Kotowa Matsukami eliminates even that. There's no tension, no internal conflict, no trace of coercion. The illusion becomes indistinguishable from reality, because it's seamlessly integrated. The only way anyone might detect the change is if someone intimately familiar with the victim notices a shift in behavior. Even then, convincing the manipulated person is nearly impossible. They'll argue passionately, defending implanted beliefs as their own. This jutsu has only been used twice, yet both instances demonstrated control surpassing even Edo Tensei. Shisui's Genjutsu isn't the sole example of this level of psychological warfare. The Uchiha clan developed other techniques capable of altering minds, albeit less elegantly. Obito's manipulation of the fourth Mizukage, Yagura, is a chilling case. Yagura began as a compassionate leader, devoted to his village. Under prolonged genjutsu, his mind was reshaped. Memories were tampered with, his moral compass replaced. The result was the Bloody Mist era, a reign of terror marked by executions and fear. Yagura believed he was protecting his people, unaware he'd become a weapon of oppression. This is the true danger of high-level genjutsu, transforming good men into monsters who die believing they were heroes. And it doesn't stop with humans. Obito and Madara extended this control to Kurama, the Nine-Tails, a sentient, ancient force of nature. Kurama isn't a mindless beast. He's intelligent, proud, and emotionally complex. For centuries, he resisted domination. Yet under Sharingan Genjutsu, even his will was hijacked. Kurama's instincts, judgment, and autonomy were suppressed. The visual cue is that his eyes changed, the Sharingan pattern replacing his own, signaling his consciousness had been locked away. Only when the Genjutsu broke did his eyes return, like his soul resurfacing. This level of Genjutsu leaves you alive, active, and unaware that your choices aren't your own. You become a legend wielded like a tool. Level 6. Reality Sync, when reality itself gets rewritten. We've gone through fear, pain, memory erasure, even the loss of identity. But level 6, this is where illusion and reality stop being separate. The line between them disappears, and whoever wields the Sharingan decides what version of reality remains. This stage is known as reality synchronization, and its most extreme form is the forbidden Uchiha technique, Izanagi. Unlike earlier Genjutsu that manipulate perception, Izanagi alters the actual flow of events. It doesn't trick the senses, it reshapes the world. When Danzo activated Izanagi, he was already dead. His heart had stopped, his body was destroyed, and there were no signs of life. But the jutsu triggered and declared that death a false event. Reality complied. His death was erased, and survival became the new truth. He didn't dodge the loss, he rewrote it. That's the essence of Izanagi, turning defeat into fiction and rewriting your fate. You can fall, fail, or die, and then decide it never happened. Reality doesn't resist, it simply updates. But this kind of power demands a steep price. Each use of Izanagi permanently sacrifices a Sharingan. The eye loses its light, its chakra, and its essence. It's not a temporary cost, it's irreversible. The eye dies. Even Madara Uchiha, who escaped death more than anyone in shinobi history, used Izanagi only in moments of absolute desperation. Because while the technique can save your life, it also takes something irreplaceable. You win the moment, but lose a part of yourself. This overwhelming power led some Uchiha to fight recklessly. They believed they were untouchable, throwing themselves into danger with no fear, knowing they could reset reality if things went wrong. That mindset, that false invincibility, corroded them from within. To counter this arrogance, the clan created Izanami, a technique designed to humble those who abused Izanagi. If Izanagi lets you escape fate, Izanami traps you inside it. Izanami creates a loop, a repeating sequence of events that the victim must relive endlessly. Kabuto experienced this firsthand when Itachi cast it on him. He found himself stuck in a cycle, replaying the same actions over and over like a broken record. But Izanami isn't meant to torture, it's meant to reveal. The jutsu forces a confrontation with the self, your decisions, your deceptions, your false pride. It strips away illusions and shows you who you really are. For those who've built their identity on lies or ego, that exposure is more terrifying than death. Death ends things. Izanami doesn't. It keeps you trapped until you accept the truth. And there's no external rescue. No ally, no jutsu, no surge of chakra can break the loop. The only escape is internal. You must change, acknowledge your flaws, face reality, and grow. Only then does Izanami release you. Together, Izanagi and Izanami form the Forbidden Twins, two techniques that reflect the dual nature of power. Izanagi grants the ability to reshape reality. Izanami demands accountability for using it. They represent the core of the Uchiha philosophy, strength born from suffering, driven by loss, and tempered by consequence. Level 7, Mass Manipulation. This stage marks a turning point. Up until now, Genjutsu was about overwhelming individual targets, bending reality, warping perception, rewriting existence. But Level 7 changes the game. It's no longer a duel between two minds. It's one shinobi taking command of the entire battlefield. Instead of focusing on personal god-tier power, like Izanagi or Kotomatsukami, Level 7 shifts towards scale and reach. These techniques don't need to be flawless or subtle, they just need to hit everyone. In war, disabling an army is far more effective than manipulating a single opponent. Tayuya from the Sound 4 showed how devastating wide-range Genjutsu can be. Her demonic flute, phantom sound chains didn't rely on eye contact or physical touch. The sound itself carried the illusion, spreading through the air like a silent toxin. If you heard it, you were trapped. Against Shikamaru, it froze his body and overwhelmed his mind. And because the technique was broadcast-based, it scaled effortlessly. One target, 10, 100, it didn't matter. The only reason she lost was because Tamari erased the sound with wind, breaking the illusion by destroying its medium. Then there's Fukasaku and Shima, the Elder Toads. Their frog song took the same concept and elevated it through sage arts. Their harmonized chant infused nature energy into sound waves, attacking both the mind and chakra system. Victims didn't just fall into illusion, their entire sensory network collapsed. Once caught, escape wasn't an option. Your body and mind were no longer in sync. Kabuto Yakushi demonstrated another form of mass genjutsu, During the Chunin exams, his Temple of Nirvana technique disguised its effect behind falling feathers. It looked peaceful, but those feathers carried sleep illusions strong enough to knock out an entire stadium. Hundreds of shinobi dropped instantly. Only those with exceptional chakra control, like Kakashi and Guy, could resist. This technique wasn't about spectacle. It was about efficient, large-scale shutdown. One of the most overwhelming examples of battlefield genjutsu came from Hashirama Senju. His Bringer of Darkness technique didn't remove light. It convinced the brain that light didn't exist. Victims experienced complete sensory blackout. Even dojutsu, like the Sharingan and Rinnegan, were useless. When Hashirama used it against Madara, it neutralized one of the most powerful dojutsu in history. Because no matter how advanced your vision is, it's meaningless if your brain believes you're blind. What made this technique even more dangerous was Hashirama's Sage Mode. While everyone else stumbled in darkness, he remained fully aware, sensing movements through natural energy. He turned off the lights for everyone else but kept his own vision intact. It was like giving himself night vision while his enemies flailed in confusion. Level 7 isn't about personal dominance anymore. It's about strategic control. These techniques aren't weapons. They're tools for directing entire conflicts. Armies, formations, decisions all fall under the caster's influence before anyone realizes what's happening. At this point, the shinobi isn't just fighting, they're orchestrating. Everyone else becomes part of a performance they didn't choose, reacting to illusions they can't escape. Now, bonus level, Infinite Tsukuyomi. This isn't a genjutsu you can rank. Infinite Tsukuyomi exists outside the system entirely. It's not a technique born from training or battle. It's something far beyond shinobi. This is Otsutsuki-level power, built on alien chakra and cosmic design. When gods decide to reshape reality, this is what they use. The jutsu activates through the Rinne Sharingan, projected off the moon itself. Once triggered, the entire planet falls under its influence. Yes, the scale of this genjutsu covers the entire world. And unless you have the Rinnegan, or are protected by someone who does, there's no way to avoid being caught in it. Every person is pulled into a dream crafted from their deepest desires. Shino gets a giant bug. Asuma returns. Lost loved ones reappear. These aren't simple illusions. They're full-scale simulations, tailored to feel more vivid and fulfilling than real life ever could. That's the genius of it. Unlike genjutsu that inflict pain or force obedience, this one offers comfort. It delivers peace, satisfaction, and everything you've ever longed for. No grief, no conflict, no emptiness, only joy. And that's the danger. Once someone experiences that kind of paradise, waking up feels pointless. Madara believed he was saving humanity, ending suffering by giving everyone their ideal world. And in a way, it's hard to dismiss his logic. That's what makes it so haunting. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.